Hey everyone, Mr. Newman here, and today I'm going to show you how to use your graphing calculator to find zeros, if they're not nice zeros like we've been doing so far. So first off, I want to make sure you all see this sheet here I gave you. You can graph an equation and find points. That was on a previous video, so go ahead and check that little box there. If you need a refresher on that, you can go back to a previous video and see how to do it. But it's basically type into y equals and press trace and type in different points to get certain values. This video is going to show you how to find the x-intercepts, especially if they're not nice, neat x-intercepts. So grab your calculator and let's get started. First thing you're going to do is you're going to type in the equation into y equals. I have this equation here. I would like you to type into y equals. Now I chose this equation because as you can see when you press graph, notice how the zeros are not nice and neat. It looks like it's maybe 1.5 and that looks maybe negative 4.5, but I'm not sure. And you don't want to assume that it's halfway between those because those pixels can't show clearly enough what the actual point is. So we need the calculator to tell us, we need to run a function on the calculator to tell us how, what exactly those values are, or at least much better approximation than 1.5. So the way you do that is once you have it graphed, you press second and then trace. And what that does is, notice second is the blue button on my calculator. It takes me to the blue menu. That takes me to calculate, and the calculator can calculate a lot of things for us. For example, here when you see this, it can calculate the values. Those are just typing in numbers. It can calculate the zero, which is what we want to select, minimums, maximum, intersections between different curves. So press, go down to the second one, or you're going to just press the number 2 and we're going to get to 0. So once you select the 0 and hit enter, then you're going to see that we have a left bound question mark is written down right there. What that's asking is, it's asking what is the left side of where you want me to look for a 0. If you look at our curve right here, if we ask for a 0, there's actually 2 possible zeros, and we want to make sure that the calculator knows which one we want to look at. So we're asking, the calculator is asking what's the left bound of the 0, and for this we're actually going to start off by finding the one on the left there. So that left bound is basically asking what is to the left of the 0. In order to go there, we're going to actually press left, the left button, until that little spider thing moves all the way up to the left of the 0. So press and hold down the left button until your screen looks like this. And you don't have to have exact numbers, just make sure that spider there is on to the left of the 0. Now that's to the left, go ahead and press enter, and you notice something changes. First of all, a little marker, a little arrow is shown right above our spider, and the question also changed to right bound question mark. Now it's asking for what's to the right of our 0. Can you identify what is to the right of the 0? So we're going to hold the right button and go to the right of the 0, hopefully end up somewhere around down there. So when you press right, you should end up, and it should look, your calculation should look something like this. See how we're down and to the right. Go ahead and press enter again, because we're answering the question right bound, and the question changes again to guess. Notice a few things. First of all, see those arrows at the top? Those 2 arrows are pointing at the domain in which the calculator will search for a 0. So it's basically looking between these 2 vertical lines here. And yes, our 0 is between those 2 lines, so we are good. We know that because our spider was to the left and to the right of the 0. And notice it's now asking for us to guess. Well, the secret here, you guys, is that you don't actually need to move it over and guess. As long as there's only 1 0 between your 2 bounds, you can just press enter. No need to scroll to the left. You can if you want to make a guess and help the calculator out, but it can do that on its own just fine. So go ahead and press enter. And you'll notice that our 0 it's labeling, it has it marked right on top of the 0, which is excellent. And it also has some funny numbers. First of all, any 0 should have y equals 0, but ours doesn't seem to. See that? 1e negative 12? What does that even mean? Well, if you learned about scientific notation in either your math class or your science class, you know that e on the calculator means 1 times 10 to the negative 12th. And that is the same as 0.00000000001. So basically 0. The problem with the calculator is it it doesn't always find the zeros right at 0. Sometimes it can only get so close. So your calculator occasionally will tell you a 0 is actually not 0. This is where your human brain comes in and you need to recognize, nope, I'm smarter than a calculator. That is 0. So what I'm doing is every time I see that, I'm mentally, that e to the negative 12 or e to the negative a big number, I'm going to cross that out and think 0 instead. All right? Now, on the other side, we don't want to round that because all those decimals are important, at least the first several are. So our point that we found is actually not negative 4.5, it's negative 4.37. I'm going to round it to the nearest hundredth there. And I'll tell you guys on problems what I want you to round it to. But that negative 4.37 is a much better approximation of the 0 than negative 4 or negative 4.5 even does. So we found our 0. That's our answer. And all those steps just to get that value. What I want you to do now is I want you to try to find the other 0. If you get it right, then if you get it wrong, I'll show you the other steps. All right. So here's how you do it. You press second and then trace. And once you press that, then you need to press enter when you're to the left of the 0, when it asks left bound. Notice my enter, I pressed enter when I was at 0, negative 6. A little shortcut, a little trick is instead of having to press right, if you instead want to jump around quickly, I know that 3, see we've got to move our spider to the right, but I know that 3 is to the right of the 0 because look, 3 is way over there. So I'm going to type in the number 3 instead, and I'm going to press enter, and I get, look, I get y equals 12, so that these two bounds are on either side of my 0. Now we get to the guess question, and I can just press enter, and voila, there's our solution. 1.37, 0 is the other 0. Thank you very much for watching. You can go ahead and check the box at the end on your paper because you now know how to find the zeros using a calculator.